Shalom Nation, in the precious name of Yahshua HaMashiach, as we as the elect of YisraYah'ale wait for the promises of Unravel, the return of Yahshua HaMashiach. I began a series of teachings as a report from the halls of the Torah, that we may understand the intricacies, every detail of the Torah of Yah, and that is what we must understand. We have this concept that is so pervasive. It is so pervasive that it has consumed many, that they have been beguiled by this concept of a lie concerning a 13th month, the equinox. These things have nothing to do with Almighty Yah, because the equinox and the equator and the times of Yah's seasons are not based upon those things. And they are those, and I was one in the past. Because of my ignorance, I didn't know. But I knew that there was something drastically wrong. And as I began to investigate Torah, I realized how wrong I was. We're going to, as I have already begun this teaching, 5 parts of it. This is the 6th part, reporting from the halls of the Torah. I want to open up to our understanding the lies that have been perpetrated by a thesis, a religion known as a Jewish religion, that they incorporate the equinox. They have added a 13th month by their own calculation, and it is wrong, nation. Yah is nowhere in Torah that he commands us to have a 13th month. I want to begin this teaching with one profound utterance of Yahshua HaMashiach in 1 John, chapter 2, verse 21. He speaks unto us as the elect. He says, I have not written to you because you know not the truth, that you have no comprehension of Torah, its construct, what Yah commands, the path that he directs us in, that we walk according to his mandate. His mandate. It cannot be interpreted by any other means but Torah. But because you know it, what? Ha-Torah, the truth. And I want you to understand is what is so profound here as Yochanan speaks. But because you know it, and there is no pseudos, there is no lie, there is no fabrication, there is nothing that can be added to the truth. And so we hear this concept of the equinox, which is a lie. It is an imaginary line, a circle. Yah does not operate in imaginations, because they can take us on a wild adventure. This which is called the 13th month, which is so erroneous and false, that is based upon a thesis of lies. I have gone many times and searched for the answer according to the 13th month. And on this teaching, I want to use the scholarship. We understand what scholarship is. It is a serious academic or an academic mindset that has been garnered and produced the academics of a study, and there is a sense of great devotion because it doesn't come by one spending a small amount of time. It comes by one spending an enormous amount of time trying to understand what's the specifics of that subject is. And that's my desire, not to be a scholar, but I speak with the volume of truth. And as I search, there is more than 6 million expressions on why that there is a 13th month and why we must add that the time and the cycle of Yah's seasons that they may come out correct. I sit before you on this teaching and tell you that these are lies from the corruption of hell and a corrupt mind. And I will go to the literature of the Jews, and their rabbis, their educators, and prove how wrong this is. It is a flat-out lie, and there is no truth in the lie. And I want to begin this process here from a website, and you certainly can acquire the same information. It is called www.WashingtonJewishWeek.com. I want to begin there, and also jns.org. These are the statements as to who created the 13th month, because it is not in Torah. It is a fabrication. It is a flat-out lie of deception. Quote, tradition has it that it was the great sage, their leader, the council of supposedly the Torah, Hillel. He was head of the Sanhedrins. And if you do not understand the Sanhedrins, I want to give you an account. I want to interpose something here in Matthew chapter 26, verse 59. It says, now the chief Kohen, the elders, and all the Sunnathrion, all the Sanhedrins, that basically consisted of about 71 members. They were the scribes, the elders, and prominent members of the YHWH family, those that integrated themselves together collectively, and also the YHWH that they must, and they were the interpreters of Torah, and they had the most refined insight. That is who the Sanhedrins were, these members. And they sought a false witness, not a witness of truth, against Yeshua HaMashiach, for the reason to put him to death. They wanted to kill him because the words that he spoke was not of the origin of their corruption, what they had created to satisfy their carnal nature. And again, this talks about the tradition on JewishWeek.com. The Sanhedrins from 320 to 385 before the Common Era BCE, who created the Jewish calendar with some pretty sophisticated. In essence, it was developed with a high degree of complexity. They developed this from the complexity of what they perceived to be proper. But that's not what Yah did. He created a calendar of simplicity that we will watch for the slither, the chodash of the moon. They created this Jewish calendar now. They call it a sophistication, a high degree of complexity with mathematical formation, astronomical, the celestial, the heavenly calculation. So they incorporated all that they perceived that was proper. Sun, moon, stars. And what the result produced, it was a 19-year cycle. And the cycle is called a metnek or metanik. Metnek. In this cycle, it was formed by Menech, a metan, that he created this cycle by watching the celestials and all of that for a 19-year period of time. There are those that would debate it, but they know they are wrong. That's how this concept came to pass, because this cycle forms the basics of what? The Greek and the Hebrew calendar. And in use for the computation, this is what it is used for, the computation of the date, first of all, of Esther, of Easter each year. The Babylonians applied the 19-year cycle since the 6th century BCE, before the Common Era, with 7 leap years to anchor the holidays in their rightful place. This has nothing to do with the complexity of truth. Just allowing that to trouble your mind when you know that there is something that is imported into Yah's ways that are not found in Torah. There is no menach. There is no 19-year cycle mentioned in any part of the Torah. There is no adding nor deleting to the time of Yah. None whatsoever. And Amos speaks of that when Yah regards our feast days as an abomination. This is what Amos said. Yah says, I have shunned, I've hated and despised your feast days. I will not smell, I will not ruach, I will not delight, I will not come in the midst of your fellowship, in your solemn assemblies. I want to establish that form to this platform and this teaching tonight. I want to read from articles and some of the scholarship of those that are Jews and how they determine what is the appropriate time for the Mo'adim. I trust the word of Yah, its simplicity without complexity, without sophistication, that even one that is a wayfaring man can be know. He can come to the understanding of the simplicity of the times of Yah. I want to read from the Washington Jewish Week. Washington Jewish Week, you can find that at their site, concerning the 13th month, why it was attached to the season and the times of Yah. And this article is written by one by the name of Deborah Feinblum, a Jewish woman. The question was asked, why was it necessary? A 13th month, an intercalary, a cycle that will always give us this Pesach to be celebrated in our time and what we delight in. And it goes in this manner. Passover, the question, in July And Rosh Hashanah in January, there's a question mark. That is what would and will happen were it not for the ingenious invention. How can something be ingenious and beyond the concept of understanding when it was created by a corrupt mind? Yah gave us the order of his Moedim, of the Jewish leap years. So they leaped over Yah, his instructions, his commands, and so this ingenious concept that we can keep things the way that is fitting to us. The Jewish leap year. And the reason why, because the lunar calendar, like this one, works beautifully until the end of the year when the 12 lunar months. It is one thing that the Torah mentions. It mentions month 1 through 12. There is no indication whereby there is a 13th a lunar solar month. This is a concept that is based upon a thesis of nothing but lies. She says when the 12 lunar months will be inevitable, miss the solar year by an 11-day shortfall. So they have concluded that 11 days short of the solar year. Yah never commanded us, but when he commanded us, and that we observe the moon, the Chodesh, that slither, to give us the indication of the time to begin to count, that we will know. It will not take long for such a disparity to wreak and wreak destructive havoc with the holidays. Hence, the specter of a snow-covered Rosh Hashanah. You got snow at that time. Rosh Hashanah, it was the leap year, the 13th month, that gave us safety from that happening. So man has said, and those that of the rabbinical council and the intellectuals, they will say and have said, to hell with what is written in the book. We're going to base things on the logic of our thinking and process it by our own wisdom. That is why the Torah, it speaks of lunar months. It doesn't speak of lunar solar. Let me give us an example. It says in 1 Melachim, 1 Kings, chapter 6, verse 37. In the 4th year of the foundation of Chabeat of Yah, it was laid, and it indicates in the lunar, the Yerach, the lunar month of Zif. You would think that's the 4th or that lunar month of Zif. That implies that the brightness shine, the beauty of Yah's brightness. And yet, this generation has overpowered the mind of spiritual contents. And they have produced fabrication of lies that everyone buys and everyone follows. From the Hebrew Israelites to the Baptist seventh day that celebrates what we call the Moedim, the Feast of Yah. It's wrong. And I'm going to prove all things through the Torah of Yah. She goes on to say, Miss Feinblom, listen to her words. Quotes, and the Torah makes it abundantly clear. It does. Notice the wording of her writing. Passover must be in the month of springtime. time. That's what she says. These are her words. And that is one of the most damnable lies that one can buy. This is what Torah says in Devarim, Deuteronomy 16:1. He simply tells us to Shema, be observant, watch, be careful. For and observe, the same word Shema, the month simply implies the month of Obib, not springtime. He tells us the month. And the cycle of Yah's time, the months, as far as their placing, they will always change in his system. We're going to prove all things about Torah. And we're going to disqualify the lies, but I want us to understand the concepts of the Jewish thinking and these lies that have been perpetrated against Torah. Again, Devarim 16:1, watch and observe for the month of Obib. And he tells us to Shema, keep the Passover to YisraYah'ale. For in the month, he just simply identifies the month. And the months always change in the cycle of Yah time. It is still Obib, but the months change, not like the secular or the Gregorian or the Julian calendars where everything begins in the month of January. That's not the case. That's not the case with Yah's calendar. He says, for in the month of Obib, YisraYah'ale brought you out from the bondage of Mitzrayim by night. He tells us to watch for the month. We must be acutely aware of Yah's time. We must pay attention to the moon and watch and have moon watch nights that we can count the season of Yah's time. That's what he says. She goes on to say, and the Torah makes it abundantly clear, Passover must be in the month of the springtime, and Tshuwah must fall at harvest time, when, I will quote her essence, when, quote, God will have blessed you in all of your crops and in all of your handwork. But the Torah tells us, according to the Torah, Devarim 16:15, 7 days shall you keep a feast unto YisraYah'ale in the place which Yah shall choose, Yerushalayim, because YisraYah'ale shall bless you in all your increase, and in all your work, and in all of the works of your hands. Therefore, you shall surely rejoice. Now, this is the concept and the reason why, as we began, why there must be a 13th month. Yah never mentions that. He never mentions a leap year. What gives one the gall to supplement Yah's truth with an emotional concept and make Yah a liar and them truthful? We're going to find out who's the liar and who is the truth. She also indicates that our tradition is an agriculture tradition. These are the words of Rabbi Rachel and religious leader of the Sutton Place Synagogue in New York. So on one level, the pilgrimage holiday all reflects the agriculture cycle of the year. That is a false dynamics as far as the feast days of Yah. Sure, that when Yah began the process with us as a nation, those harvests and the feasts and the fruits of our ruach, we harvest from that daily. And so in Yah's times and season, we celebrate with great delight because our lives are celebratory lives, because they're based on the pattern of the Torah. She also says there is another layer of meaning here too, says Anne. Just as the spring is the coming out of the darkness of winter into sunshine, Passover celebrate our people sense of renewal. We are renewed every day in the truth of Almighty Yah, in YHWH HaMashiach. So that is what celebrate our renewal in Yahshua, that we have come out of spring into the fall season. That is what does that. The Torah does not speak of that. I will show us one thing, what must be the case of his nation and his people. Let me get this verse for us. Hallelujah. We as a people, we are renewed in the power of his Torah and nothing else, my friends. I have 3 monitors open. I have the Torah on one side, and I have the teaching here. But we must be renewed every single day in the truth of Almighty Yah. And Yahshua speaks on those conditions and how we are to be renewed, and we're renewed for the power of his Torah and nothing else. Let me proceed for the nation. She talks about this. So she asks the question in this article, who do we give Torah? Who do we thank for this concept that is so ingenious? It is so wise. The thought process is so sophisticated that it is beyond the reasons of Yah's time and what he ordains. And she goes to tradition. She says, quote, tradition has it that the great sage Hillel, head of the Sanhedrin, the council, from 320 to 385 before the Common Era, who created the Jewish calendar through some pretty sophisticated mathematical, astronomical calculation. The results, a 19-year cycle with 7 leap years to anchor the holidays in their rightful place. No, their rightful place is about the mandate of Almighty Yah. If you do any examination on what is called the 19-year cycle, it was given and became a part of what we call, or you will call, quote, the Jewish construct by one that was a Greek, that was an astronomer. His name was Milton, that he watched the stars in the heavens for 19 years. And so this is how this cycle was introduced unto those of the Talmudic order that would bring all things back to this place that they desire by this cycle of leap years. And we'll understand that as I proceed. She says that the result, a 19-year cycle with 7 leap years to anchor the holiday in their rightful place, every holiday. So this is what was brought and what is certified by what authority. She also indicates in the far distant past, the Jewish people, They relied upon nature to tell them when a leap year was needed. Give me an indication of that in Torah, specifically. Show me one verse. Show me one speaking of that. Now, this is the catch here. If the weather, the animals, listen, the weather had to be a certain kind of weather. The animals and the crop were not yet acting, quote, spring-like. How does an animal act spring-like or the weather? We're in the spring here, but it is autumn weather here in the deep south. These are the things, these are the indicators. The animals had to act spring-like. And if the spring equinox, that is one of the most violent lies and concepts that is so corrupt, that is based upon a lie. There is no equator, there is no equinox where it's equal day and night. And there is a site that you can go to. It is called www.timeanddate. And show me one day whereby the time is equal. You may find a day close of being equal in early June, nearly 12/12, but there is nowhere, not even what they call the spring equinox. And I have taught on that in the process of these series of teachings. Began listening at part 1. This is part 7 here. Part 6. I do apologize. So it had to be the spring acting of the animals and people, and it also had to be clarified by the spring equinox. Tell me what form of religion do not celebrate the spring equinox? That's what Esther and all they're about. You tell me Yah incorporates or they incorporated the things of Yah? You're foolish. It's a lie. Did not arrive before midway through the month of Nisan, then the judges of the Sanhedrin knew that it was a leap year with its extra month. Would be the need to keep Passover in its rightful place. Passover is always kept in the rightful place that Yah ordained it. As we take observation of the moon and we count the months and we count the seasons of Almighty Yah. Where does the Torah talks about an extra month? I cannot buy any lie of this sort because the Torah never talks about an extra month. Adar 1 was added to the 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19th year of the cycle. May I inject this? You notice that all these years, when there is a lie that is purported of the creation or this Adar tomb, they will always tell you that there is no barley seen in the land of YisraYah'ale when they don't even grow barley. You can go to Israel, the agriculture department, and search out the records. No barley even grown in that vicinity, in that area of the world. Nobody even utilized it. But on those years where the leap year falls, there is no barley seen. It's amazing. Never any barley. So they add the Adar. So it's based upon not a principle, but a concept of our lies nation. That's what it is based upon, and nothing else. This is as revealed today as it was nearly 2,000 years ago. Well, who revealed that? Who revealed that, ma'am? This is what the Rabbi Mori Rubble, he quotes a long time Jerusalem area Torah teacher. That's who he is. He's a long time teacher there in Yerushalayim. It says this, quote, and only two people or two nations of people have a lunar calendar. That is those that identify as Jewish and Arabics. But this is the distaste and the rejection of it. Quote, but unlike the Jewish calendar, the Arabic one does not adjust. Show me where Yah commands us to adjust to anything. He give us no power to adjust his time, his season. The dates to keep holidays in place, which is why, listen, Ramadan can be in the winter, fall, spring, and summer. Explains Rabbi. We cannot do that because we are guided by our Torah. Our Torah does not teach us anything opposite of that, in the sense when the seasons and times of Yah season, which says Passover must kept in the spring. That's a lie. Show me where the Torah says that. Show me show me anything that indicates that. He tells us the month. Although what it means, the earing or the greening of the barley, that has nothing to do with the season. It has to do with the identity of that month. When we plant, and that things need to be grown during the time of Sha'utz, and harvest during Tshuwah, Hillel, realize that if we stay strictly lunar, things would soon get out of kilter. According to whose time? Not according to Yah's time. This thesis is not based on the truth of Yah. And we all have learned to follow these lies. And that's factual. And he put in a system to fix that with the leap year. Not Yah, but Hillel. He put in the system. There is no instruction from Yah to put in the system that is totally based upon a fabrication, a lie that is unscriptural. Yah intends for our seasons to float, that we may understand the experience that the nation went through and their trials of great battles in Mitzrayim. And it produced the excitement of joy, whether spring, winter, fall, or summer. There are others that keep the more dim. We're celebrating spring, and they're in the crux of winter in the southern hemisphere. That's truth. It is factual. So what should they do? So he knew that his people would be scattered because he is the one that scattered them. And we are going to celebrate the Mo'adim of Yah in all of the seasons. Here's a question that is asked by the scholarship of this writer. The question here is, how did these magnificent men of great scholarship, how did they accomplish that? How did they do it? In essence, she says, calling on math and physics buffs, that they were so intelligent, their intelligence supersede the direction that Yah commands. Listen to this. Here are the heavenly calculations. Is it so? Since unlike the Gregorian, the Jewish calendar relies on three factors: the Earth's rotation, 24 hours, the moon's revolution around the Earth, 29.5 days, and the Earth's revolution around the sun. No, the Earth take no revolution around nothing. He did not put those beautiful celestial beings in the heavens for the Earth. He put them for man, because he did not make man for the Earth. He made the Earth for man. Hallelujah. So they factor them all in. This is what the YHWH, not only him but his friends, they came up with a 19-year cycle containing 7 leap years of the 13th month. There are millions of documents that all certify this on the internet. Over 6 million in the search engines, article, scholarship, discussions concerning this, and they all are wrong. The Torah is right. And they did this, listen to what she says, quote, but without an advanced degree in mathematical or physics, you may not be able to predict when they have and will arrive. This is such a ludicrous lie. So what? The only way to know if a certain year is designated to be a leap year, Yah has not designated any year to be a leap year. It is by knowing the year's place in the current 19-year Metanich, this what we call the Metnech cycle. Try dividing the numbers of the Jewish year in question by 19 and find the remainder. If there is a number, I want you to hear this, I want to clarify this. If there is a third year, that is a leap year. The 6th year is a leap year. 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and the 19th year. You will have in that period of time 7 leap years. Then you're looking at a leap year anytime. After 2 years of celebrating what you call the Passover, 353 days, and then 354, you will have a time of 383, 384, or 385. And then the 4th, and the 6th year, 5th year, you will have either a 354 or 355. And that's the cycle. The Torah doesn't teach that. But Hillel and his friends were pretty, quote, good, unquote, at math. Says Mitchell Bogarts, a New Haven, Connecticut-based engineer, an avid physics buff. That's what he is. So they take his opinion over Yah's command. I will rely on Yah's command, and I will celebrate the Moedim in the seasons that they fall in. Nearly 2,000 years ago, they were sharp enough with their calculations to realize the Jewish calendar had a 19-year cycle. Show me that. Any indication in Torah? And there are you that would debate that lie without any proof, without anything to justify it. A 19-year cycle to keep that 11 days difference at bay. Yov did not ask you to do that. It was the only way to stop, listen, the holidays from shifting more than a couple weeks here and there, noting significant. So it's all right if they fluctuate a week or a few days, but not in the season. And it was all done by calculation, not done by the commandments of Yah. There's nothing more impressive than his creation and what he has created for us. Quote, by the way, on a practical level, figure out when an Adar Hebrew birthday or a Yarzitz, a bar or bat mitzvah would fall in a leap year can get a bit complex and depends on when a birth or death arise. You might want to check with your neighborhood rabbi on this one. So the indication that if there is something that interferes with the process, those things that are carnal or natural, you check with your rabbi to make sure that we can calculate what is appropriate. Your birthday, your bar, or your bat mitzvah. This is insane. And this is what has been taught, not based upon the principles of truth, but flat out lies. She speaks here. How is it to begin a little bit pregnant? What's a damnable question? Let me read, and this is what you follow, unless you follow what the Torah says. What exactly is the Jewish leap year called Shana Mi Ubrach? Shana Mi Ubrach, literally a pregnant year. I ask any of you scholars to show me where there is indication where a year is pregnant. That is called Shana Mi Ubrach. I ask any of y'all to show me, correct my ignorance. It is a flat out lie. You can't. So you have bought into these lies, although you don't even understand. Your ignorance will not allow you to understand. That's because it's simply fuller and longer. So you have more time in Adar 1, Adar 2 than any other year. It is so full of excitement, and you know that is a total fabrication. Instead of the standard 365 days, the Jewish world is looking at anywhere. This is what they call the standards. The 365 lunar solar is a standard, but not so with the Jews. You're looking anywhere from 383 days to 385. Show me that in Torah. And there are those that would debate this lie. They will challenge you. We do it Yah's way. It is a simple way. It is not complex. You watch for the moon. You observe. You shema. You take time to observe and look for the moon nation. And that is just factual. So that is what they call a standard year, 365. Hanok says 364. So you cannot even identify with Hanok. 383 to 385, that's factual. And that's how long you keep a year when you have what they call the pregnant year or the Shana Mi Ubrach. Is that long? Depending on whether it is a given year or a month of Shefan in the fall or Kislev at Chanukah time. Each have 29 or 30 days. Excuse me. The upcoming year, 5782, for the instance, will have 384 days. How do you justify that, nation? How do you buy that lie? How do you buy in? Have you allowed yourself to become so bewitched? You will buy a lie that is so corrupt. and so vile and violent against Almighty Yah. How will you buy that? And how do you buy that? Tell me how. It is for one reason. Just like Hillel, let me read this. Hallelujah. This is Philip. He was there in the city of at Samaria. There was a sorcerer. It says this, but there was a certain man called Simeon, which before time in the same city, he used witchcraft, he used machyuol, he used sorcery, he used witchcraft. For what? And he bewitched, he is the one that existed me. He amazed them because of their ignorance. He bewitched the people of Samaria, giving that himself out to be someone that is great. That is what your great Hillel has given you. And you by the lies of this one that defy the Torah of Yah. I will proceed. Hallelujah. It goes on to say, among those profoundly impacted by the pregnant year, are the farmers in YisraYah'ale, are keeping the Torah commandments, what they call Shemitah. Stop all cultivation and cultivating to let their fields rest for a year as a Shabbat for the land. And though that it is a mitzvah, and they state that it is only effective and carried out in the Jewish homeland, roll around every 7 years. This time it happens to fall on a leap year. You understand the analogy and the stupidity prolonging the farmer's time away from the work and the land from a typical 12-year cycle to a 13. It is a lie. It is false. It is evil. It is a bewitched kind of a spirit. I will not buy it. I will not be a part of that. And you are bewitched if you follow that procedure. And she closed with this quote, but the good news is that although the leap extends the year, and such ways there is one process that remains unchanged. The 9-month cycle for a woman in pregnancy. Do you not understand how bogus that is? It is quite bogus, and there are tens of thousands and millions of writings on this lie that is purported. People buy into it, they believe it. They will not trust Almighty Yah. I will trust Yah. I will not buy the lies of these corrupt minds. The question is asked here, what's the leap year's biggest blessing? What is the biggest blessings of the leap year? Quotes, and due to the nature of the month that get added an extra Adar, one thing the leap year is pregnant with an extra help of joy. It is the joy to know our Abba that gives us the strength daily. Bless and Mazel. Mazel, that is your bless, your lucky, and the god of luck, the Babylonian god, God, has opened the gate. That is what she quotes. The Torah tells us in Yeshaya, Isaiah 65:11. Yah says, but you are they that have abandoned. We have forsaken Yah and we have forgotten his place of rest is Kodesh, his mountain. And we have prepared a table for the God of fortune. God, the Babylonian deity. And that you furnish drink offerings to the God of the fate of many. That is what the Mazel is. And that is what the God represents. The Torah doesn't speak concerning Noach, but only in this indication when it deals with fortune, the gods. Don't you see how corrupt the analogy is in this? As they produce a lie of the greatest of corruption and remove Yah out of everything and give you a 13th month, which is so bogus and full of lies. The Mazel for the Jewish people, the luck, the good luck, God, the deity. That is what it means. Good luck. Mazel. And Adar for the people of the Jewish celebration. As the sage taught, when Adar enters, we increase in joy. Well, when I see the morning that caused my joy to rise to the Cassandra that I'm alive and that Yah has blessed. We know that 30 days of Adar are the happiest of the year. Where does it say that? That's not in Torah for the Jewish people. So in a year when we double the number of Adar days to 60, we're also bound to double our joy and our, quote, good fortune. That is the God of fortune, God. That is the Mazel of the luck, says Rabbi Yermi Shemelach Tillis, co-founder of the Accent Seminar Center in Zifat, Israel, and the director, listen, now this man directs KabbalahOnline.org. KabbalahOnline.org. These are the corrupt lies that permeate among you, Hebrew Israelites, Jews, and all. The season of Yah's time, they are not complicated. The Muslims keep their feast days in the appropriate time. And yet when it comes to Yah, we have built this lie. Just like Christmas, it's no different. And Easter, they're no different nation. This is what the rabbi says here, Rabbi Tillis. Absolutely, answered the rabbi. The Lubavitcher Rebel taught us in Jewish tradition what? About Torah. That's what Judaism is. It's tradition. It's not Torah. When the good to bad ratio, whether you got good or bad in their verbology, listen, whether you got 6% to 1 or more, the good swallow up the bad. So you're 60% good and 40% bad. The good, so the 6% days of happiness, it says this. So the 60 days of happy-go-lucky Adar, if that is not atrocious to use this kind of verbology to express Yah, can swallow up the unpleasant occurrence during that period. This is what you buy, Hebrew Israelites. This is what you all buy. You buy tradition, not truth, because Torah speaks truth when it comes to the seasons and the times of Yah's feast days. And it also tells us, Rabbi tells us, as the official lucky month, please someone, I beg of you, I have an exceptional consciousness of Torah. I'm a student, I have never seen a lucky month of the Jewish people. Every cause of pain, sadness, discouragement, or dejection, even pandemics, are nullified and simulated by the transformation of joy of a double Adar. What a corrupt lie. That is a lie, Rabbi tells us. It is a corrupt lie. The joy of Almighty Yah is my strength, regardless to reject me. Now I'm finding these things, there are thousands, tens of thousands, millions of sites, the rabbis and the lecturers and the scholarship concerning this lie that is purported. I will show you another, and this one is called www.reformjudaism.org leap year. Quote, but many cultures the cultures that depend upon the exact knowledge of the phase of the moon, not the sun, confront this problem with a very different approach. Like the Chinese and the ancient Babylonians. And the Jewish calendars includes an extra month to the calendar in a fixed system developed more than 2,000 years ago, 2 millenniums. I do believe that Yah fixed the system for all nations of his people. Now we know that man has always changed times and everything. And that's Torah, that's why I began to deal with the time. Just like YisraYah'ale speaks of how they will change time and they will alter the times and season by their own wickedness. He also says his 7 times in 19 years we add a full month to our calendar, a second Adar. In addition to regular Adar, this period of 19 years is known as the Mazurah. The Mazurah, it is what they call the prayer book of the Jewish holidays, how you pray. Well, there is no book of prayer like the book and the writings of David, Tehillim. No prayer book like it. He states, and yes, it is the same word, generally indicating a returning cycle as the word for the high holiday prayer book. This is amazing. And these violent concept of lies, I will not follow it. I will not reject Yah's truth for no one, nor will I be intimidated if no one wants my fellowship. It's all right with me. It's all right. There is a website, as I've indicated throughout the series of this teaching, teach sheet and the teachings. It is called www.timeanddate.com. It will give you the time and date, whatever you want to look at. The EQUINOX, anything. It gives you time and dates of everything. leap years in anything. I find it to be a very reputable site in its preciseness. That's what I do, and I utilize it. Because the thing they call the equinox, it is a lie. I had some fool to tell me that the Most High instructed him that the Mo'adim, the feast days of the Pesach begins after the equinox. It's a lie. Why would Yah integrate a lie into his truth? It is an imaginary lie. It is a lie. And there is not one religion on the earth that does not celebrate it, from witches to all, that they incorporate that in their construct of their religious habits. And to tell me that Yah has incorporated that into his Mo'adim, you are a wicked liar. I will buy nothing from you. You can tell me nothing. We are so ignorant that we can be sold anything. We're that way because of our arrogance, our prides. And that is factual. I want to indicate or bring us back into the times and how that the leap year rules, or the rules of the leap years. I find no rule of leap years in Torah. This is amazing here. Let me read this to us. Excuse me. A leap year occurs 7 times in a 19-year metanic or metnach cycle. Namely, this is when it occurs. Listen, nation. The 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th year, the 14th year, the 17th year, and the 19th of the cycle. You have a 7 intercalaries that a month is added. This means that a leap month is added every 2 to 3 years. And I go back to this proposition to you. You will never keep a mo'ad of Yah, even with the fabrication of your lives. They will either be 353 days, 354, 355, or 383, 384, or 385. Never according to the Chanukh 364, unless you find your own way. And there are those that call themselves Chanukh calendars, feast days. I have never found a site that you can even read that would indicate that you talk about something that complex. Search it out and send me the information if you find one. I've searched for years and years. They are so disboculated. They are. And the feast days are stopped at. So this is what the metnech, or the metanic, the cycle, it is known for the spirit, very close, begins a common multiples, or it multiplies, of the solar year and the lunar months, or what they call the synod, with a deviation of just a few hours. 19 solar years, very nearly the same as 235 lunar months. Both periods amount to 6,940 days. This make it possible for the Jewish time to reckon the appropriate state of the synchronizing the solar year simply by adding a certain amount of full months per metnech cycles. Where does Yah tell us to add months? Please, someone help me. Show me. We can add to his word or take away. You add nothing to it. And this is a lie. Since 19 years have 12 months accumulates to 228 months. 7 extra months must be added to arrive at the total of 235 months per cycle. By employing this system, the Jewish calendar deviates from the solar year by 1 day in 216 years. How accurate are the other calendar systems? So if you're off periods, it's a lie. It is the little leaven that leaveth the whole lump. So how can you be right with a wrong? You have fabricated a lie, a deception, and yet it is still off according to your most sophisticated calculations. It is a lie. You can never deduct truth out of a lie. The only way is Yah's way. By employing this system, the Jewish calendar deviates from the solar year by 1 day in 216 years. So every 216 years it deviates. How accurate is my calendar system? It is perfectly accurate. It is Torah based and nothing else. These are the year what the Jewish people call, they call them the deficient years. There is a deficient year. There is a regular year and there is a complete leap year. None of that is mentioned in Torah. None of it. This is the commentary to prevent certain Jewish holidays like Rosh Hashanah from falling on specific days of the week. A day may be added to the 8th month or subtracted from the 9th month Kislev. This means that a year in the Jewish calendar can have 6 different lengths. As I stated, a common year to us, to Jewish people, you that follow this law, is either 353 days, 354 days, or 355 days. That's a common year, a regular year as stated. But a leap year can be 383, 384, or 385. And you are keeping what you call your feast days accordingly to that. That's factual. So that they will stay in the same time of the season. Spring. Defy Yah. When he gave us the construct of how to keep his feast days. And that is factual. You can find all this information. I wanted to use different sites this time because Chabad is the site that every Jewish construct is based upon the information there. I find it to be very constructive as far as historical and what it conveys in the writing. True or false. And I utilized this, but I wanted to go beyond Chabad. I want to read, this is called the secret Jewish history. Why is it a secret? If it's meant for the nation, for the elect, it is called the secret Jewish history of leap year. And this is written by Seth Rogavoy. Seth Rogavoy. Listen to his commentary. He quotes, not all calendar systems care about this sort of things. Look at what direction he takes. The Islamic calendar, for example, measured time solely by the moon cycle. That's commanded to us. Solely by the moon cycle. As such, Muslims, their holidays and festivals like Ramadan of Idi occurs at various times of the year, or rather, at various times during the natural season. They always occur on the same Islamic date. Well, our feast days have dates. The first month, it tells you the 14th of that month at Eve, all of our dates, but you have construed that with your corruption. It is just that the dates aren't fixed to the solar. So your days are fixed to the solar. Sure they are. Or seasonal calendar in any way. They're based upon what they call their prophets commanded them. That's what it is based upon. At least they are more dedicated to their prophet than you, my friends. They're dedicated to the works of Muhammad. He quotes here Mr. Rogovoy, quote the Hebrew and Gregorian calendar for various historical, astronomical, social, and religious reasons are set up so that the holidays like, notice how what he states, holidays like Passover and Esther, the pagan Easter. Now this is from the secrets of the Jewish history. All of this is written by Jewish men and women. And we will proceed farther in this dialogue. And Easter always occur in the spring because they have set a system out to make it occur that way and keep him with their nature and history. They achieved this by periodically intercalating days or months to keep this on schedule. Can anyone show me where the Torah teach us to intercalate days? Or base things upon the sighting of the moon watch. We do watch for the moon. Here we teach our children. It is a joyous occasion. We all come, we gather for that occasion. This is what I want to close with on this teaching. This is found at www.ign.com. What is the Jewish leap year? This is written by Hillel Goldberg. He states, quote, the deepest secrets of Judaism is called Sad HaIbrum, literally the secrets of intercalation. Where is that in Torah? Show me where that is indicated in Torah, where Yah commands us to intercalate. Show me where that word is in Torah. Show me that. Show me where there's an indication of that in Torah. I can't find it. Can you show me and assist me in that? There is no such at all. Period. And these are lies of darkness. These are the greatest lies you could ever purport. He says the solar calendar periodically needs a leap day. On February the 29th, 6 times every 19 years, the Jewish calendar needs a leap month. As in the case of this year, a leap month in the Hebrew calendar is always in the month of Adar. Just scratching the surface of how all this is determined, one is amazed. I'm amazed at your lies, my friend. I'm not amazed at your corruption and how you have defied Yah. the interaction or indication of science and philosophy behind the Salt Chav Ibru, the secret of the intercalation, can leave one speechless. And you have left me speechless with your lies and your corruption. These are lies, and they're not based upon truth. They are not based on Torah instruction. I'm going to pause here for part 1 of this teaching in a series of 6 parts, and we'll continue the next time on this. May the blessings of Yah rest upon your nation, and may this teaching be a strength and an inspiration unto you. I say to you, all my friends and enemies, Yabaruch, in Yahshua's name. Shalom.